So this is probably going to be one of the really, really short episodes. And this is because today's subject is not big. But as a lot of things in business or in life or in success in general, it's really important. We're going to talk a little bit about decisions and the importance of making good decisions and how we can go about making sure that the decisions we do make are good. First of all, let's just clarify a couple of things, because a decision has to be followed by action. If not, it's just a plan, it's a fantasy, something you want to do. But if you do make a decision, it will necessarily lead to a concrete process. Now you're entering a new phase. You are taking action to make sure that your goals are met. And that's kind of the essence of it. Every big philosopher, the last, 10,000 years at least, are talking about decisions in some sense or another. And I don't think you'll find anyone in the personal development sphere, neither, that's not really focused on a decision. And to make good decisions, it requires actual training. It requires you to go out and practice. And it's so important for every aspect of your life. It's private, professional, anything. It's kind of like, where do we go from here? Well, first of all, if you want to be a doctor, at some point you have to decide that I want to be a doctor. Now, if you decide that you want to be a doctor, it kind of designs your immediate and long-term action and what kind of expectations you can have for your life in general. But let's make it concrete. I want to be a doctor. Okay, that tells me that this is how I'm going to have to study. This is the kind of school I have to get into. These are the subjects I have to be good at. And it probably means that you'll have to sacrifice other stuff, whether it's playtime with friends, or if it's doing sports or dating or whatever. But, such a decision, there's a goalpost at the end of the line, but there's also a lot of sacrifices going forward. And here's one of the things why I'm bringing up decisions as a key factor for success, because now let's say you decide to be a doctor, I decide to be a doctor, and I'm going to spend the next, let's say I decide that when I'm 16, then I have at least 10 to 12 years left in school. Now, what's the worst thing I can do when I've made that decision? So I've made a decision, I started taking action to make sure I get to be a doctor. The worst thing that's going to happen is that if I'm in 7 or 8 or 9 years, suddenly realizes that I want to do something else. Because that will mean that almost all the effort I put into becoming a doctor was a waste of time. Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be a complete waste of time, but it probably will be, at least to a certain extent. Not only a waste of time, I will also have missed out on a lot of stuff, like sports, dating, all these things. So decisions are really important in the sense that it decides where your life is going. And the worst thing about decisions is that if you cannot keep them, if you feel that you made the wrong decision and you have to jump ship, because that's going to cost you a lot of time and a lot of money. So to getting your decisions right is extremely important, and probably one of the most important prerequisites to ever achieve success. Now, whether as a business person or as a partner, or as a private, and the same goes for almost everything. There is a way to help you getting better at making decisions, and is about, just reflecting on it, because you do make a lot of decisions each day. What kind of food you're going to eat, if you're going to go to the gym or not, if you are going to have a great day with your girlfriend or boyfriend, if you're going to read a book, if you're going to take a dog for a walk. The important thing in situations like that is to train yourself to just not just plan it. If you're going to take your dog for a walk, decide, I'm going to take my dog for a walk, and I'm going to take him I'm going to take my dog for a walk at that place. And we're going to walk for 30 minutes. And when we get back, we're going to do this, because that will train you to make decisions all the time. And here's the thing. It's like with everything, and this is proven. So I'm not going to dive into that rabbit hole right now. But if you do Google it, you will find sufficient empirical evidence on what I'm saying. If you are conscious on all the decisions you are making all the time, you will eventually get better at it. And there's a couple of reasons for it. So as I said, we're not going to dive into the rabbit hole, but still there's a couple of reasons that might be worthwhile considering. Number one, you'll establish a baseline, and that baseline will be based on your preferences and your capabilities, maybe even talents. Because you as a person will, at the long run, eventually find yourself in situations that you have chosen. You have chosen to be in this situation. And obviously, if you have chosen to be in the situation, you probably are quite aware of the circumstances and why you're there. And they will usually be something that's aligned with who you are. So being aware of that, the fact that you're making decisions all the time, will help you establish a baseline on decision making that is beneficial for who you are. You see? So over time, that will make you a really good decision maker, because you will consciously and subconsciously, in general, be in situations by your choosing. And if you're going to do future decisions from a situation of comfort, knowledge, and satisfaction, your future decision is probably going to be a lot better. Am I making sense to you? I'm trying to break this down to something that's really easy to implement in your day-to-day life. The point is that every decision you make has consequences. It's not a decision if it not leads you to take some sort of action. These are the two main things. You can get better at decision making by training on taking decisions. And training on taking decisions is quite easy because you do it all the time, but you have to be aware of it and you have to follow through. That's the other thing that's really important. As I said, it's not a decision unless it leads to action. And if you decide to take your dog for a walk, decide for how long and where you're going to do it, and all these small parameters, small variables that's around it. And it will make you better at, be aware of the fact that these are decisions that I'm making. And the more aware you are, the more consideration you'll take to circumstances. Is this a situation or position I like or not? Because you can always choose to go for the situation you do like. If you like to walk your dog in the woods, you don't have to walk it on asphalt, for example. Now, if you find yourself more mentally stimulated in the woods, well, obviously to be there will be better for you and probably for the dog as well. So you see where I'm coming from. A conscious decision will always take you, well, not in the beginning, but in the long run, a conscious decision will always probably bring you to a better place, because the baseline of your decision making is conscious and it's based on you wanting something good, the push-pull factor. So as I said, this is not going to be a long podcast. This was basically what I wanted to share with you, because as I said, this is the boring show, and the boring show is about the things we need to know, we need to be aware of and be good at. You can probably read a lot about decision making in Tony Robbins' book on Awakening Giant Within, I think it's called. I do know it's called that, actually. Great book. You should read it. But he also talks a lot about decision making and how important it is to be good at it, and how important it is to be aware of it, and how important it is to make sure that you take action. But also, if you are unsure on big decisions, weigh your options. But as with all big decisions, when you do make them, try to stick to them, because the worst thing you can do for a professional career, at least, is to waver. If you want to do one thing one day and you start doing it, and then you change your mind in a month or 2 months, and then you change your mind, and then you change your mind, soon enough you'll be a jack of all trades and master of none. Okay, so thank you so much for listening or watching. I do know it's a little boring, but still, it's important. These are things you and I and everyone else needs to know. So for now, see you soon. Please subscribe if you like the show. Okay, have a great day. Ciao.